Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with some exciting news about Epic Waterloo from Warlord Games. There was a huge uh, information dump done today by John Stollard. Great man. There, he addressed some of the questions that I had for the Epic Waterloo line. I made a video not too long ago where I was complaining or expressing concerns, and he seemed to address almost all of them. Almost. So let's go ahead and let me tell you some of the information. If I have a video or a screenshot or something like that, what I'll do is I'll post it on the screen, and what I'll do is I'll shrink myself down into the bottom quarter of the screen to kind of get out of the way. Okay, first of all, we already knew because they leaked some pictures previously about the 95th Rifle skirmishers and some Highland colonels or generals, right? So you've already seen that. That's not news. That's last week's news. But now they're showing the 95th Rifle skirmishers individually. So here's some of those figures right there, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, well, first of all, I think a lot of this is pretty cool. Also, he mentioned that the 95th Rifles are coming on the same sprue as the kilted Highlanders. So you're going to get a battalion of kilted Highlanders on a sprue, and in a box you're probably going to get 3 battalions of kilted Highlanders, but on each of those sprues you're going to get skirmishing 95th. So once you get one box of the kilted Highlanders, you're set for Waterloo, because there's really only 3 kilted Highland battalions there, and there's only like 1 or 2 companies of skirmishing Highlanders or 95th Rifles. So that will square you away. He did address that the 95th Rifles in rank and file was deliberate, because there were 2 battalions of the 95th Rifles that fought in formation, either in square or line or column, but not in skirmish. Which we already knew that. If you watch my channel, I already addressed that. But he basically, what I'm trying to get at is he confirmed it. All right. Now the next thing a lot of people asked was, what about the stovepipe light infantry battalions that were at Waterloo? And he said that it would be exciting to make a peninsula sprue with stovepipes, hinting at possibly he might just do 1 sprue of peninsula British, and then you could just grab those and use those as your light infantry, your red-coated light infantry. Okay, now he did also mention that about the Allies, right? That this is where one of my big concerns was, like the Nassau, the Brunswick, the Dutch Belgians specifically. And he basically said that, okay, he basically said that is not in the works. Who knows what they might do if this line is successful, but right now those are not on the shelf. And he recommended that you use British for Belgians, which they wore the same uniforms, just in a blue and not a red, and use the French as either Dutch or Nassau, because Nassau wore French uniforms, just a different color, green, and they also had some blue, and the Dutch The only difference was they had instead of like a straight up Shako, they had this bell Shako, but it's still a Shako. And it says at the scale that you're looking at Epic, you're not really going to be able to tell the difference. Just call them Dutch. He also mentioned something about snipping your sergeant's pikes and also the standards, because it's rumored, or it's understood that they didn't carry their flags. But as a wargaming convention, basically it's an understood rule. Us as wargamers, we want to put a flag on every single battalion we have, right? So he says, do it or don't do it, right? You use some of those Belgian flags if you want. And that would be one of the reasons why in the starter set you don't get Nassau, Brunswick, or Dutch-Belgian flags. Okay. Okay. He also mentioned that the French had an unusually large number of carabiners, carabiniers, with the cav, with those huge plumes that, plume helmets. And he said there wasn't that many battalions in French that wore those helmets, but there were other Belgian dragoons or carabiniers that wore those uniforms. So just paint them up as them. So basically, a lot of his explanation for those allies was just paint them differently. I kind of didn't like that answer, but I also understand that at that scale, you're really just trying to pick out the main elements of the uniforms and stuff like that. And I think it would work. I think it will work. So that's probably what I'm going to do. All right. But there was a glaring lack of talking about Brunswickers. He did not talk about Brunswick at all. There's no mention of them. He did say Germans earlier, but I think he was talking about the Nassau. So maybe Brunswick will come later, hopefully. I can make line and light Brunswickers out of French sprues. That won't be a problem. But when you start talking about the avant-garde with their folded hats, or the Lieb Guard with their plumes that drape in the front, those two units, I'm not going to be able to proxy any French for them. So, okay. So the next thing he talked about was special characters. He thinks he wants to do additional special characters. He said that would be fun. So that just means, that to me, that just means if they get around to it, they'll do it. But he did specifically say additional command figures. They are going to do Wellington, Picton, Kellerman, D'Erleron. They are going to do notable generals from that. They'll probably have to do Uxbridge, you would think, right? But I could take a D'Erleron general model and I can use it as my Real. I could use it as a LeBeau. If it's a corps commander, I can use it as a corps commander for anybody, right? That's what I'm thinking. And if they do like an Alton or not a Picton because he's got the top hat, but if they do some other British, which I think, yeah, whatever. Okay, so basically he confirmed that they are going to be doing, and he did mention that he thinks he's going to do those specialty generals in metal. Yeah, so that's exciting. All right, now the next thing is Prussians. A lot of people asked him, hey, this is Waterloo, where are the Prussians? Well, he mentioned that in good time, right? He says all these additional forces will come out, but over time. And that's also only if this expansion is or this game is successful. And he said there's been a huge amount of, that's not the word he used. He used surprisingly high amount of pre-orders. So he believes that this is going to be a successful set. But he did say they have 2 Prussian sprues in the works. They've got an infantry sprue with musketeers, fusiliers, and landwehr, and a foot cannon. And then he's also got a cavalry sprue with the 4 or so different types of cavalry, you know, like hussars and dragoons and things like that. Probably landwehr as well. Wait, they had lancers. They had uhlans, right? And then also horse artillery. So the Prussians are coming, right? And just like, you know, they're moving to the sounds of the guns, you know, that kind of stuff. Okay, so we can expect them probably in a future wave. Some questions were, this is a very limited battle, you know, British and Allies, French and Prussians. Where are all the other nations? Well, he did mention Austrians and Russians, but that's not in the works right now. He's waiting to see if they sell these Waterloo packs well, and if they do, which I think he's leaning towards they are selling them well. If they sell well, then he's going to expand into other areas, like Austrians and Russians, which that should please a lot of people. Okay, what's another thing on my list? Oh yeah, he stated that they have limbers on the way. Okay, I was like, okay. And then he also showed off some pictures of the Imperial Guard. The Imperial Guard, they're going to include not just the young/middle guard, the middle/old guard with their bearskins. You can actually just use your regular line infantry in greatcoats or line infantry as young guards, so you don't need like another sprue for them. So the middle and old guard, that's one sprue, includes engineers and marines. So the engineers have the plume helmets or whatever, like a carabinieri, and then the marines. You're going to have way too many, in my opinion. Once you start doing old guard or whatever, and you get those sprues in, you're going to have all these marines and engineers that you probably won't need that many, but they're going to be on the sprue. Okay, so he said something about, oh yeah, carabiniers, excess. Oh, yeah, okay. This was kind of a, I don't know if I appreciated this response, but it was honest. It's an honest, and it's a straightforward thing. So I can't fault him for this. But he said, if you have extra models, just paint them and put them in your battalions. It'll make them look even more epic. I don't know. I guess I'm too analytical for that. If a battalion's supposed to have 4 stands, it's going to have 4 stands. If it's supposed to have 10 stands, it's going to have 10 stands. I'm not going to fudge and just throw an extra stand out there just to make it look epic. So, but what does this mean? Well, this means that personally, and I'm gonna come back and watch the second video. The second half of this video is my Wargaming in miniature video where I talk about my epic Waterloo project, and how I was planning on getting figures from other manufacturers to supplement my epic. And so if Warlord is able to put out 2-3 waves and they have these additional models in them, then I probably won't need to supplement my armies. I can just rely, I'm not going to be able to paint them all as fast as the releases come out anyway, so I shouldn't be complaining, right? If everything comes out in this first year, great. Okay, finally he said, where do we go from here? He hinted that, and this was kind of a hint that they're planning on doing more epic, like maybe epic American War of Independence, or maybe even epic, you know, I don't know, other eras, right? So American War of Independence, I think, might be a good one to go to. But he is thinking about expanding the line, because they already have epic ACW, now epic Napoleonics. I could see maybe AWI. All right, guys, thanks for coming out and watching this news video, and I will catch you in my next video.